In the news tonight, sites of interest temporarily closed in Lambasa. Permanent Secretary explains vaccine effectiveness. And over $104 million unemployment benefits paid out.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Atera Lendua.
Good evening, Fiji. Following the announcement of new cases in Lambasa on Friday, the Ministry of Health has temporarily closed some sites of interest in town. The sites were closed from 4 p.m. yesterday to allow for a thorough decontamination process. These include Shop and Save Supermarket, RB Patel Supermarket, Goodman Fielder, Ashok Transport Limited, RC Manubai Limited and Pinto Timber Yard. This is part of the Health Ministry's efforts to minimize local and community transmission of COVID-19. There are 5 active COVID cases in the north, and Permanent Secretary for Health Dr. James Fong says the outlook for the cases found indicates a persistent risk of a community outbreak. He says further tracing and testing are needed to clearly understand the level of community transmission. According to the Permanent Secretary, all contacts of the first case identified are in quarantine and so far tested negative. The Ministry of Health is urging Fijians to not let the death of 3 fully vaccinated people hinder their choice of getting fully vaccinated. Permanent Secretary for Health Dr. James Fong has once again stressed that the vaccine provides 92% protection. Kritika Kumar reports the Permanent Secretary has clarified that the 3 fully vaccinated individuals died because of their existing medical conditions, and therefore the virus had put them at higher risk of severe disease.
Dr. James Fong says 8% of individuals with comorbid issues cannot mount a good immune response even after getting vaccinated.
Everybody who's morbidly obese, they have a lower ability to tolerate COVID-19. And if you give them the vaccine, they have a better ability to tolerate COVID-19. It's just that the ability to tolerate COVID-19 is not as good as the people with a normal immune response.
The Permanent Secretary says it's unfortunate that fully vaccinated people can still get severe COVID-19, as 92% protection is not 100%.
It can occur in those who have any underlying medical condition that is not able to improve their ability, or where their immune system is somewhat impaired.
Vaccination Task Force head Dr. Rachel Devi says the earlier Fijians get vaccinated, the more time is available for their immune systems to build up.
Early as possible, get your first jab, because the more you delay your first jab, the more you delay your second jab. And we really need this level of protection for everyone.
As of 27th August, 95.2% of the target population have received at least 1 dose, and 44.9% are now fully vaccinated. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Swabbing is underway in SOMOSOMO village on the Viti Island as fear mounts for a possible increase in COVID-19 infections. Village headman Kelebi Natiri says following the death of a 94-year-old woman on Monday, they've imposed movement restrictions. Apinisa Wangarandova reports another villager has also been airlifted to the Lotoka Hospital for severe illness.
The death and another serious COVID-19 patient indicate there is transmission occurring on the island.
The health team has taken our swab tests, which we were grateful for. They particularly tried to identify those who have been sick the past few days.
Natiri says they are relying on test results.
Villagers have been advised to stay indoors and they cannot interact with anyone apart from those in their household. They can go to the farm but not socialize until we are cleared.
Meanwhile, in Kandavu, where over 164 cases have been recorded, Nalotu village, which is COVID-free, is no longer allowing entry from those in the district of Yahweh. Yahweh villagers travel to Nalotu for their shopping.
The only village in our district that has the virus is Taova, and all 5 villages shops from here. But now, we are not accepting anyone to come through, but they can leave their money at the border, and our people will go and get the goods for them.
No new cases were recorded yesterday on the island. Health teams have also been deployed to monitor the situation there. Apinisa Wangarandova, FBC News.
The continued decrease in cases in the Laminosori containment zone is not a sign that the outbreak is on a downward trend. Permanent Secretary for Health Dr. James Fong says community surveillance tests are needed to document the current situation in the Central Division. Kritika Kumar reports.
Fijians are being urged not to become complacent despite the ministry recording a decreasing number of cases and deaths.
It's looking a bit better in terms of the number of admissions, so that deaths. We think that our situation is improving, but I have to do another community surveillance testing, do more testing out in the community just to actually document it.
The ministry is monitoring other indicators such as test positivity, hospitalizations and deaths to track the outbreak in the Central Division.
Deaths and admission. You're supposed to tabulate that admission data, and we've also got deaths data.
Minister for Health Dr. Ifremi Wangai Nambete says every day the ministry fights COVID-19 while still providing non-COVID health services.
But also we have to deal with emergency cases that we normally receive on a day-to-day basis. And in doing that, we utilize the assets that are available.
As of July 21st, only persons that have a higher risk of developing severe COVID-19 are being tested so that resources can be directed to early detection. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
The government's unemployment cash assistance program has come to an end as only a few dozen applications are being verified. Minister for Economy Ayaz Said Qayyum says they have paid out a total of $104.2 million, which has benefited 289,489 Fijians. This accounts to the 84% of the total applications received, which was 345,289. Said Qayyum says since their last update on Thursday, they have paid out an additional $3.4 million to 9,794 individuals.
This includes payments to 7,938 individuals who had provided incorrect TINs or tax identification numbers. The Ministry of Economy is able to obtain the correct TINs for these individuals from FRCS and using their BRN and went ahead to assist them.
Said Qayyum says those who claimed using more than one SIM in the previous rounds, funds have been recovered from them. Hence, they received a payment of less than $360. This includes 2,412 individuals who double-dipped in the previous rounds. And to our latest COVID-19 update for today, Fiji recorded 258 new COVID-19 infections for the period ending at 8 a.m. yesterday. 152 cases are from the West, 106 from the Central Division. No new COVID deaths were recorded yesterday. Fiji has recorded 45,561 cases since April this year. There are now 19,130 active cases with 25,725 recoveries in total. The COVID-19 death toll now stands at 479. The vaccination campaign also continues around the country. In the latest update, 559,894 or 95.3% of the target population have received their first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. 266,598 or 45.4% have received their second dose. The 5 most vaccinated areas include Ba, Rewa, Nandrongai, Naitasiri, which are 100% first jab, and then Nandi. Riaz Ullah from Korotongo and Singatoka is fully vaccinated. Ullah's message for everyone is to fight COVID-19 together. Up ahead, 4-term school and options his ministry. And nurse shares her journey in our Successful Fijian segment. Welcome back. A New Zealand-based journalist has come under the spotlight once again for running incorrect reports about incidents in Fiji without seeking verification. Michael Field has been known to publish articles which are factually incorrect and lack official corroboration. In a recent post, he claimed that Fijian journalists had been arrested for reporting on the Itauke Land Trust Bill.
Yet another fake report about Fiji by Michael Field, this one claiming that local reporters were recently rounded up by police.
It was a live story. I can certainly assure you that FBC has reported stories where the situation has changed during the course of a day, an hour, a minute.
I'm very surprised with some, journalists that I feel should know better. You can understand that mistakes happen in the media. We really need to get back to basics. Fair, accurate, and balanced. Get things right.
The Fijian Media Association says the veteran Kiwi journalists' reports are shocking.
We had to call around to all the newsrooms to check which journalists were taken up, and we were quite concerned when the reports kept being repeated in international media.
Field evaded most of our questions and refused to apologize to Fijian journalists or even give an undertaking to cease writing unverified stories.
We will continue to run a news website to the best of our endeavours, knowing that, as for example in this case, events take place that the Fiji government and the Fiji police force never explain why they are roaming post after a curfew, dragging people to a police station.
It can create confusion, it can create hesitancy, it can create trouble where it should not be, and it can create anxiety.
Field has worked for some news outlets in New Zealand and was formally banned from entering some countries in the region, including Fiji. Edwin Nand, FBC News.
Ministry of Education is looking at the option of a 4-school term next year. Minister Pramila Kumar says the first term can be used to catch up and revise complex or difficult concepts and topics. Kumar adds, in this way, students should complete learning missed classes from this year. The ministry is working with the Ministry of Health to identify possible options relating to Year 13. The ministry is also encouraging children aged 18 years and above to get fully vaccinated. Kumar says for students aged 17, the Health Ministry is working on a vaccination plan with Moderna vaccine, and an announcement will be made as soon as the logistics are worked out. The Health Ministry is also working on the option of vaccinating students above the age of 12 when the Pfizer vaccine arrives later this year. The fire that fully destroyed a double-story house along Khalsa Road yesterday afternoon has left its residents traumatized. Lanieta Laveta says she was sleeping when her children woke her up as they started to smell smoke being emitted from the bottom flat. Laveta says the fire started at around 3 p.m. She adds everyone was able to get out safely before the fire ravaged the 5-bedroom house. Laveta says the team from the National Fire Authority responded quickly to their call but were unable to save their home.
Right now we'll be staying with our neighbor, we'll see. Yeah, I'm trying to comfort my kids. Yeah, the plan ahead, we're not sure.
Meanwhile, firefighters saved a 3-bedroom corrugated iron and timber house in Vunika, Lambasa on Thursday. The incident started after an uncontrolled sugarcane fire spread to the floor of the back of the property. When the firefighters arrived at the scene, the wooden house was engulfed in smoke. They managed to extinguish the fire that had just reached the flooring of the back of the house. NFA Chief Executive Officer Paul Soane says weather plays a major role in the severity of bush, grass and sugarcane fires as well as house fires. From 1st August to the 26th, the North recorded 44 incidents of bush, grass, sugarcane and rubbish fires. Soane says majority of these fires are a result of careless burning. Doctors, nurses, carers and paramedics around the world are facing unprecedented challenges in overstretched health facilities with no end in sight as the COVID-19 pandemic continues to create havoc. Fiji is no different. The virus, an invisible enemy, and the task to combat it is harder. In tonight's Successful Fijian, we spoke with staff nurse Angela Tokede, who is trying to balance work, staying safe, and her family.
Angela Tokede is amongst the thousands of frontliners putting the hard yards to combat the highly contagious Delta variant.
There are times that we are working with no resources or lack of resources, but we manage. We are able to manage by communicating, by supporting each other.
The 53-year-old nurse, who also tested positive for the virus, says everyone fighting in the front is looking out for one another.
If one falls sick or something like that, we always stand by them. We'll go and do their shift for them. It's not something that say, oh no, why should I do this? No, that's the other. No, we're not.
Tokede says what's worse was losing 2 health workers, but this only made them strong.
A couple of weeks ago, we lost 2 of our frontliners. That sort of moved us, and we kept on encouraging everyone, and they were mothers. Encouraging everyone, we're trying to say to be strong and be strong.
The mother of 2 says she is successfully performing her duty during this outbreak due to family support.
It's quite hectic, where you have to, especially when you're tired from work, and then we are mothers. You can't deny the chores at home. And yes, if you have a good family, a very supportive family, a good husband, which I'm so blessed with, yes, I think you can always work yourself around it.
The Namalata woman shed tears in thanking those from other stakeholders who are assisting during these trying times. Tokede can only hope that the war against COVID-19 is over soon and life returns to normal. Apinisong Grandobu, FBC News.
Ahead in sports, Matea sets personal target at Tokyo Games. And Bati reps shine. This and more coming up. Welcome back. Our Paralympians Inosi Matea and Yosefa Rekesa will be in action tomorrow at the Tokyo Games. Team Fiji coach Freddie Fatiaki has been closely monitoring Rekesa and helping out Matea in any way he can. Australia-based Matea hopes to go a step further than his personal best of 49.55 meters in the men's F64 javelin event.
Somewhere closest to my PB at the moment. But for me, for throwing, it kind of depends on the day. If you perform well, and I hope I would do my best to go past my personal best.
As more records continue to fall at the Tokyo Paralympic Games, there are also some inspirational stories emerging. One such story is from the refugee team. The 2 Fiji Bati reps were in fine form last night for their respective teams in round 24 of the NRL. However, they were both on losing sides. Mikaele Ravalawa scored a double for the Dragons, while Isaac Lumelume crossed for one of Melbourne Storm's 2 tries. The Eels defeated the Storm 22-10, and Cowboys defeated Dragons 38-26. 2 Broncos players were sin-binned last night, which helped the Cronulla Sharks to a 24-16 win over the Brisbane side at Suncorp Stadium. Fiji Chess Federation is trying to encourage development of chess players from a young age. This following the recent World Chess Olympiad, so 2 under-18 chess players as part of the successful Fiji team that topped Pakistan and Oman over the weekend. Vinina Rakautonga reports.
Learning chess at a young age is being encouraged by the Federation.
It's much easier, as we all know, it's much easier as a child, as a younger person, to pick up these mental concepts. It gets a bit tougher as you get older. So that's one thing that's working in favor for our younger players.
Tayone Sikivo, who has been playing for some time now, says most players are self-taught.
We don't really have that much of that infrastructure here in Fiji to really offer that kind of exposure to our young budding talents. So most of what they've achieved so far is through their own hard work and their dedication. So that's very commendable to them and also to their support system, the parents, the schools, etc.
Young Rud Prasad, a 15-year-old chess player, is one of the favorites in the competition.
No chess player in Fiji has had professional coaching. We've all learned ourselves and we've learned with trial and error. So for learning on her own and with very minimal professional coaching, 8 out of 11 in a world championship is a fantastic result for a 14-year-old.
Fiji's online chess team is also gearing for Season 3 of the 2021-2022 Global Chess League next month. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
Manchester City thumped 10-man Arsenal 5-0 in their Premier League clash this morning. Arsenal was completely outplayed as they slumped to the bottom of the Premier League. It's the first time since 1954 that Arsenal have lost their 3 opening games of the league season. Hosts England broke India's resistance to surge to victory by an innings and 76 runs in the 3rd test and leveled the series at 1-1. The 4th test at the Oval begins on Friday with the series concluding at Old Trafford from 11th September. Generally, fine conditions prevailed over most parts of the country again today. Looking at the west, beautiful with sunshine and patchy clouds. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, pleasant with intervals of cloud and sunshine. Up north, mostly sunny and humid. At sea, moderate to fresh southeast winds, gusty at times, rough seas. Turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 11:47 tonight, with low tide at 6:15 tomorrow morning. Sunrise is at 6:15. For tomorrow, cloudy periods with some showers over the main islands. The outlook for Tuesday, mainly fine conditions. Recapping our main stories, sites of interest temporarily closed in Lambasa. Permanent Secretary explains vaccine effectiveness and over $104 million unemployment benefits paid out. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question, this week we're asking, are you confident that Fiji will meet its October vaccination deadline? Visit our website to take part. And send us newsworthy pictures and videos via email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media accounts. You can also download the FBC app to keep updated with the very latest news and sports and listen to our 6 radio stations live. That's your news for this evening. Madamanda.